Welcome to the Dice Tower, a series of video reviews about board and card games. Here are your hosts, Tom Vassell and Sam Healy.
Hey folks, I'm Tom Vassell.
And I'm Sam Healy. Welcome back, folks.
Today we're taking a look at Thunderstone Quest, also known as Thunderstone 3.
The head that is as big as my hair box.
Yeah, look at that. It's a humongous box. Now, to be fair, it doesn't use up all of the box.
True.
They definitely left room for expansions. This was a Kickstarter. This was one of the first times AEG used Kickstarter, and they gave this game an overhaul. Now, if you've watched our reviews in the past, we both really like Thunderstone.
To begin with, yeah.
We both, well, you were like, better than Dominion.
It is.
And then Thunderstone Advanced,
still is.
The second edition, really liked that a lot too. Now we're taking a look at the third edition where they dramatically changed things away. With Thunderstone Advanced, there was some backwards compatibility. You could use the old Thunderstone cards. In this one, you cannot. This is a completely, I don't want to say different game because it uses a lot of the same
Overhauled.
things. But this is like 2.0 as opposed to just 1.5. So
Okay.
let me show you how to play it. Now there's a lot going in this game. There's a big board. Each player is going to have a deck of cards. This is your starting deck of cards. You will have 6 of these adventurers in your deck. You will have a couple daggers, a couple lanterns, and a couple thunderstone shards. This is your deck, and it's going to be shuffled and placed onto your board here. On your board, you have a spot for your player deck. And as you play this game, you are going to be discarding cards from your hand and playing them. And they'll go in your discard pile. When your deck runs out, you shuffle your discard pile and put it here. You're going to be collecting some resources over the course of this game. They're gear tokens, they're called. You can see them on the board here. We got bread, lanterns, and potions. As you get them, you'll put them here. You'll be getting experience points that will be placed here. We have denominations of 1s and 5s. These are victory points at the end of the game and can be used to help level up your heroes. Also, you have these wound tokens here, and as you take wounds, you'll be placing them on your board, and the more wounds you get, your hand size will go down. So you're going to have to heal wounds so that your hand size is not, if you have full up with wounds, you don't have any cards in your hand. And then just some ways on how to play the game. And then each player is also going to start with a side quest. So you get a couple side quests at the beginning of the game. These side quests are things that you will do. If you finish this side quest and do exactly what it says, some of them you'll reveal at the end of the game, and they are worth points. Others will add a special card to your hand. Like this one says, add the legendary hero Alpha Prince to your hand. So I would go through here, find the Alpha Prince, and he would be added to my deck. He's a very powerful character, and there's some really cool items that you can find, like the Dancing Sword or Magwarren's Axe, or you also have the opportunity to just get points with these. Players will also join one of 4 different guilds: Thieves, Healers Order, Warriors Guild, Mages Guild, which will also possibly give you experience if you're using one of the 4 different classes. To play the game, you are going to pick one way. You can play completely random. There's an epic variant, and you can also just pick a scenario. There's a huge book here, a quest book, which has a lot of scenarios. So here I'm playing The Mirror in the Dark, One Door Opens. It tells you exactly what cards to put and how to set up the dungeon. There is tons of decks of cards in this game. There are tons of dungeon tiles, and so there's plenty of room to have completely different games. Each player is also going to pick a miniature. This miniature doesn't really matter that much, but it's kind of your hero and represents you. And then the game begins. Now, on a player's turn, they're going to have a hand of 6 cards that they will have drawn from their deck. Remember, I told you have that starting deck, so you'll have some of these cards in your hand. And with these cards, you are going to decide whether you're going to go to town or whether you're going to go to the dungeon. When you go to town, you're going to pick one of the locations here to go to town. Now, almost everywhere you go to town, you can do the same things, but going to a location is going to just give you a special benefit, and the benefits don't carry over. So in every location you go to, you can buy items. There's going to be 8 different items that are available here. Each item is going to have a cost down here. So this bow here, for example, has a cost of 5. To buy an item, you're going to play cards from your hand, discard them, and the number in the top corner is how much money they're worth. So some of these cards you might say, wow, I might want this punching dagger. Why do I want this punching dagger? Because it's worth 3 gold. But I also might want it because it is useful to use during the course of the game. You can always heal a wound when you go to town, although if you go to the temple, you can heal 2 wounds, so that's useful. You can go here and pay 10 to buy a treasure card. Now this game comes with a deck of treasure cards. There's all sorts of interesting treasures. Some of them you find when you kill monsters. You can also go here to buy them. Sometimes they're a new character or a weapon to add to your deck. Sometimes just when you draw this card, you get 2 experience points and a gear token of your choice. So there's all sorts of things that you will find in the treasure deck. If you go here, you can level up 2 heroes. And if you go to the bazaar, you can buy bread, lanterns, and potions. Potions can be used to heal wounds. Lanterns give you light in the dungeon. And bread can be used to give you coins on future turns. Or you can spend it to make your heroes more experienced so that they can use better weapons. You can also go hire adventurers. There's 4 different adventurers here. Adventurers come in 3 different levels. The level 1s are on top. So unless all the level 1s are gone, you can't buy a higher level. But they have a cost, and you will also add them to your deck. The alternative to going to town is to go to the dungeon. When you go to the dungeon, you can go to the wilderness. Everyone can go to the wilderness. You can fight a giant rat. And at the end of the game, this giant rat will turn into some evil big bad guy who everybody has a chance to fight and get a lot of points worth. Or you can go to the different dungeon rooms. When you go to the dungeon rooms, you start at the top and go down, and you're going to need to discard cards that have light equal to all the rooms you go through that have that light on them. And so different cards that you have will give you light as you play them. Or maybe even a character like Phelan here. He gives you, if he's in a jaguar form, he gets 1 light. So I have to decide which one I'm going to use him in. When you get to the enemy that you're going to fight, you can decide that you're going to fight them. Some of the enemies might have an exclamation point on them, which means when you go through them, you have to fight them. The enemy has a certain amount of toughness you need to get to fight them. So this air ogre has a 9, but because he's in a tree house, which is kind of a weird thing, he gets +2, so he's an 11. So also, he's going to destroy one of your starter cards, which is great for you actually. That's spoils. That's if you beat him. And there's no other benefits or anything. And then just here, it tells you what he does, what his special abilities are. Now, when you fight somebody, you're going to be using cards from your hand. If you happen to have heroes in your hand, each of these heroes is going to add attack. This one adds 1, this one adds 2. The attack is physical or magical. So you can see, for example, here, this wizard has 2 magical attack. That doesn't normally matter, but some monsters, like for example, this darkness ogre, he's immune to the first 3 magic attack that you do against him. So you got to be careful about that. Heroes can also wield weapons. These weapons can do extra attacks, like this one here does an extra 2. 3 for if you're a dwarf. But to use a weapon, you need to have skill to use that weapon. So this weapon has a skill requirement of 4. So this character can use it and she can use it, but the dwarf wizard cannot. And then finally, you might have some magic spells like this lightning bolt that you can cast. And so you play all the cards that you can, and if you manage to beat the monster, you're going to get experience points on this monster. This one will give you 5 experience points. He will do 1 wound to you. And sometimes they will give you, like for example, this darkness ogre here will give you this one gives you a treasure when you defeat him. And sometimes they do other bad things. Again, it all depends on what room they're in. Whatever monster's in this room, you get a healing potion. And when you beat a monster down here, you can level up creatures. You can also go fight this giant rat. Like I said, why would you do that? Because when you do that, you can, for free, level up one of your adventurers that you start the game with. These pretty low-level adventurers, you can level them up into one of the heroes that are here. Now, these heroes themselves, when you go to town, you can level them up. So, for example, this dwarf wizard here has a 2 magic attack. And he can give any weapon here a -1 skill and +1 magic. So that's actually, he could have used that bow. I wasn't paying attention, which is pretty useful because it's easier for him. When he goes up to the next level, to level 2, his magic is now a 3, up from a 2. His skill is a 4. And he can make a weapon 2 easier to use and 2 extra attack. Not to mention, he is worth 2 points at the end of the game. And then finally, the 3rd level, he does 4 attack, has 5 skill, gives all my weapons -2 skill and +2. And I should notice he also gives a light, and he's worth 5 points at the end of the game. So if you can level up your heroes, they can do a lot more damage. So players are going to take turns back and forth. going to these spots. Remember, they're going to the different areas here. If you're not sure, if you don't know what to do, you can always go to the temple. It lets you put cards from your hand back on top of your deck so you can get like that perfect hand to go to the dungeon next time. And as you go to the dungeons, when you kill a monster, it's replaced. And if a key shows up, then you just put that aside. There's 1 key in the level 1 monsters, 2 in here, and 3 in here. And when a 4th key shows up, no matter where it's from, that triggers the end of the game. The big bad guy comes out. Everybody can fight him. Everyone gets one final turn. You can fight the big bad guy, which can get you a lot of points, or somebody else. You will then add up all your points, and whoever has the most is the winner. You saw the huge box that the game comes in. It also comes with all these dividers to keep all the different units and different cards separated, so you can pull the decks out very easily. And it has like a carrying case to put different cards in on the top that you can put on top of that. The cards themselves come in expansion packs, in a sense, inside the box. So when you're playing through, you can just open up the pack. So I might open up Ripples in Time first and play through this scenario. It comes in 3 packs. And that will add a bunch of cards to the game. I might play a Mirror in the Dark, and that adds more cards. So I've already opened all mine up, and they're all included in here. But if you want to, you can slowly play through a campaign. Or you can just play kind of randomly with all sorts of things. There are a lot of different rules that I did not explain to you, a lot of different things going on, but that gives you basically an overview of how the game works. You can also see Sam and I, we played a epic version of this, which is where you use all the different cards online, so that you can go watch and see how games played. It's played pretty much the same way. There's just a lot of different cards out there.
Yeah.
So I'm getting rid of Thunderstone Advance. Because this supplants it for me. Okay. This was good enough that I like every change they made. I like. The only change they made that I would not be a fan of is that there's maybe some Kickstarter exclusive content out there somewhere that I don't know about, right? But I like, and if you never played Thunderstone Quest again, this might not make a lot of sense to you, but I like that the dungeon is now a tangible thing. Instead of just being 3 rooms, the light, instead of me going, okay, how much light is there? It's all on the board, and it might change. I like how you have to, sometimes if you go through a monster, that monster will stop you and cause problems.
Correct.
So I like that aspect. I like that the town now has different spots to go to. It's not a worker placement game.
I don't think you could. You couldn't go through monsters less in Advance, did you? I thought if you couldn't fight them, you couldn't go past that.
No, well, you could jump down to a further level, just required more light.
Okay.
But I like in the town, there's different places to go in town. Town feels much more vibrant. Before it was just buy cards. That was it.
Yeah.
And now you're leveling up. It has. To me, the game has morphed from becoming a deck builder that took Dominion and added some theme to now a completely different game where it's barely even Dominion.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I see what you're saying there. I don't. This is completely better than Dominion, period, hands down. Everything you want to say
But I don't
there.
know that it's even really comparable in its current form.
Maybe not in its current form, and that's probably what you were saying than anything else. Okay, well I can see that. Yeah, this one feels this feels like a RPG dungeon crawl without the need for miniatures. Now the fact that these have miniatures in them is cool. The heroes.
I think that's kind of a minor thing.
Yeah, it's a minor thing. It doesn't actually need them, and I would be okay even if it didn't have them.
Well, when I first played it last year, the initial one was pawns, and I didn't think anything about it.
Right.
They're like, hey, we're making these into miniatures. I was like, what do the cards look like? Because that's what matters. Those are my heroes. That guy moving around, he's my... He's the boss, I guess?
I guess. He's the leader of your pitiful little band. But no, this is really fun. I like the fact I guess you could call it the diversity of, if you have that lantern card in your hand, that you can go to the village first and then you can go also do some attacking as well.
Yeah, that's a great change.
It used to be one or the other, but now you can do both. It's not the full dungeon action where you can go deep into the dungeon. You can only go to the forest, but I still like that because it gives you the feel that you're not just shopping on your turn. You are providing some extra leveling up of your basic peon type guys. I just really think that was a great decision to make. All of the different parts in the village are also interesting as well. The fact that you can go and heal a little bit more at the temple, or you can buy cards, or you can go and buy those the blue.
Oh, the different things, the potions, the lanterns,
the different
bread.
equipment. That's what I was thinking, the different equipment. Or you can go level up your dudes at that spot as well. I just really think that this is probably, I don't know, this is probably how they wanted Thunderstone to be, and they just didn't think they could get there yet.
Yeah, well, you can obviously see the hand of developers involved with this.
Right.
And there's a lot of other things that I really love the treasure deck. Getting something no one else has, just getting a chance to get that treasure. It might make me kill a monster I might have ignored because he gives me a treasure. You don't know what that's going to get you.
Yeah.
I love that they finally have the point system is now very clean. It's points on cards and experience points.
Yep.
And those experience points, you spend them to level up your heroes, but maybe at the end you don't want to because you want to keep them for points.
Yeah.
And the biggest problem I had with Thunderstone before was it was kind of hard to level up your heroes. It's way easier now, and that's the fun of the game.
That's the whole point of the game, right?
Right. So you can level up your initial adventurers. You can get them out of your deck really fast. Go fight the giant rat. What was it? The
RUS is rodents of unusual size.
Go fight that a bunch of times. Get those guys out of your deck. Then start leveling up your heroes, and you feel. When you go into the dungeon, I'm going in. And the quest helps too?
Yeah, the quest, that's another thing. That's the next point I was going to make. I like the fact that you can choose your kind of mindset at the beginning of the game. Do you want to be a warrior? You want to be a mage? Or do you want to be, I can't remember, the ranger or something to that effect? And that gives you a little bit of a separate ability within the game. And then the quest that you also get gives you something to go for, something to shoot for, so that you're not just kind of doing stuff, doing the stuff in the first few turns of the game. You actually have a reason for doing it and a goal to shoot for. So I like it when games do that.
Now for me there are a couple caveats with this. One, I will only in the future play Epic. I think it's neat that they have this whole book here that's full of all these different adventures. You go through and use specific monsters and blah blah blah, and that's cool. You can do that and have a story. I think it's great they included that. I'm happy with everything. I'm also not sure I'm going to play this with more than 3. And even 3, I'd be like, are you a fast player? Because there's not a lot to do on your turn, and sometimes, and because the village has more going on, and because a dungeon is more interesting, turns take a little bit longer.
Yeah.
So 4, we definitely played a 4-player game of this. That dragged a little bit for me, where I was able to get up. It was the first one we played at the con.
Right, yeah.
And I could get up, and I went to the bathroom and came back, and it still wasn't my turn yet, you know. And that's not awful, but I don't necessarily feel like I want the game to drag. So this, if I'm like with one other person, like you saw me and Sam, you can go watch a 2-player game, that was great.
Yeah.
I went, Sam went, I went, and it was just this nice back and forth.
Yeah.
So those would be my caveats. Other than that, I love this game. I
don't know that I'm gonna throw the baby out with the bathwater.
I didn't say I'm throwing it out.
No, I know that, but I mean, in a figurative sense, I think I would like to at least try some of those different adventures, some of those different scenarios that the book comes in.
You just didn't realize that's what you were doing.
Yeah, I know, but I'd like to try some of the other ones as well. So, I actually like that's in there. I do enjoy the Epic Thunderstone Quest version as well, where you just have all of the cards in there, but I don't know if I like it better, but I do really like it.
Also, I should note that my name's in the rulebook and Epic thing, so if you think I'm biased towards it, I probably am. But this to me is great. I thought Thunderstone Advance was already where it was at. So when they remake it again, I was like, you don't need to remake it.
Yeah.
And now that I played it, it's bigger for sure. It's slightly longer.
I liked the look of Numenera, so I'm kind of...
Oh, you're sad to see that?
Yeah, I'm kind of sad to see that go. Maybe they will. Maybe they won't.
Because I don't think it sold well.
Anyway, but I really liked it. I liked the smashing together of futuristic tech and fantasy elements. So, but that's just me, I guess.
Maybe someday they'll make a space quest or something, like a space version of this. That'd be cool.
Space Stone Quest.
Space Stone. All right, so for me, this gets
disorder.
2 orc thumbs up, way up. Really like this one. It is a great adventure game for me. Thunderstone was already one of my favorite games. This just makes it better.
This one is going to be probably... I'm in the same box as well.
We can because it's so big.
2 axes up. I really enjoyed this game, and I like all of the changes that it made. I'm just sad to see Numenera go by the wayside, but that's...
Also, you got to fit this on your shelf now.
I know, right? I mean, it's like you got to move 3 games to make room for one.
Glad you don't sleeve your cards?
I do not, and I will not probably.
Anyway, until next time, I'm Tom Vassell.
Sam Healy. See you on the flip side, folks.
Thanks for watching our review today. For more information about board games, as well as the #1 board game audio podcast, check out Dicetower.com for reviews, interviews, and more. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.